It's time to take a ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive with our co-hosts, Alan Saunders and Zachary Smith.
Welcome into another Steelers Afternoon Drive. I'm Zachary Smith. That is Alan Saunders. Alan, how we doing?
Doing all right. I had a frustrating technology day. The website has not been it's not been cooperating with me, and that's always like the most annoying part of my job. But other than that, things have been all right.
You know, and on a day where we're doing a SN Plus subscribers stream, this has to be happening. What the heck, site?
I know.
Hate to see that. When we talked yesterday during this podcast, we obviously had some leaks and stuff like that to discuss, but the full schedule had not come out. So we filled in some gaps there with stuff that we didn't know about. Obviously, like a lot of the divisional games, we did not know where they were going to fall and stuff like that. Kicking off divisional games starting week 6 at home against the Browns. Obviously, we knew about Thursday night against the Bengals, week 11 against the Bengals as well. And then we got Baltimore week 14 in Baltimore, week 17 against Cleveland in Cleveland, and then back home to close out the season against Baltimore week 18. But a notable one in here for me, Alan, was week 10, Sunday Night Football against the Chargers. So we got 2 out of 3 weeks where they're going to be on Sunday Night Football, going from the Packers, Sunday Night Football, Colts come here, and then to LA to play the Chargers for Sunday Night Football.
Yeah. Art Rooney said in his sort of post announcement thing that he did with Missy Matthews at Steelers.com that he doesn't like doing West Coast road game night games. I don't really know why. That's I guess like the game is at the same time no matter what. I guess you're just flying back. It takes longer to fly back. So instead of like if you're doing a road night game at Cleveland, you're leaving the stadium at midnight and you're home by 2. And I guess if you're doing it in, LA, you're leaving the stadium Pittsburgh time at midnight and you're home by 5. I guess that makes a difference. I had never thought of things that way though.
Yeah, like the time zone stuff more than anything else, I guess. Is it? I mean, I don't know because I've never flown.
Distance of travel more than the time zone.
I say like I've never flown back and forth like that quickly. I didn't know how quickly like jet lag could become a thing.
Honestly, jet lag is not really a thing for an NFL team, like for most of the season. Because like they're not in the city long enough. They never their clocks never adjust. They just stay on Pittsburgh time. Like it doesn't matter.
That was kind of my thought, but I was wondering if that was.
And that's how it works for me. Obviously, I don't have to play, but like I don't ever like start thinking it's a different time. I operate on Eastern time, even when I'm in different places. The only thing is you get to California and you've been awake for 5 hours and you still have to eat breakfast when you get there because it's breakfast time and nobody's going to serve you lunch. Like that's about the only difference for me that's like, significant. And then like the timing of the commercial flights suck. You fly a lot of red eyes and things like that, but these guys are flying private, so it doesn't really matter that much to them.
Yeah. Mentioned that was something that Art Rooney said within his thing with Missy Matthews. Some other information though in there, and I'll be like, this is just maybe this was always the case, and I just wasn't picking up on it. But between like the openness and talking about Aaron Rodgers, and then him just coming out right away with this information now, and it not being like teased, him just dropping it. I don't know if it's what's going on, but I just feel like he's been a lot more open about things in general. But discussing, we knew that new helmets were on the way, getting a new throwback uniform as well, that they're going to unveil those both together against the Green Bay Packers, talked about, potentially wearing the color rush against the Dolphins as well. And then also talked about 50th anniversary terrible towel celebration. So a lot of information honestly came out of that Art Rooney, the second thing yesterday that they did.
Yeah, I said new helmets with the throwbacks, not the alternates. So that really restricts the possibilities for what the throwbacks can be, because the Steelers have been wearing the same helmet since 1963. So like if it's a different helmet, it's got to be an old throwback, and there's only so many, and they already wore one. They wore the 1962 yellow helmet but everything else is the same. Gold helmet, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
They only wore that 1 year, 1962, and they've already thrown back to that design once before. They wore those throwbacks like 07 to 09, something like that. They also wore a yellow helmet without the steel logo, but just a plain yellow helmet, or a yellow helmet with player numbers, sort of like Alabama's helmet,
Mhm.
for a number of years. But like, man, what a letdown that would be. Like, oh, our new throwback helmet is a plain yellow helmet with some on the side. Like,
Yeah.
that's not it. So if you start digging around in the Steelers archives here, there are 2 different helmet designs that are potentially both throwback and not completely boring, that they have not worn before. So I'm gonna show these to you, and I apologize for the audio only listeners. I'll try to do my best job of describing them. But here are the helmets the team wore in 1935, 36, and then a different design in 37. The 35-6 design is sort of like Michigan-esque, I would say, but not really. It's a gold helmet with like a double-sided black wing on the front of it. And then the 37 team wore gold helmets with black stripes that come down from the top, like
Yeah.
almost like an alternating color panel baseball cap. Never seen anything like either of those. Some of these uniforms are interesting. Some of them are kind of boring. There's gold pants, there's the khaki colored pants, there's white pants, there's a plain black jersey, there's the same black jersey that's basically their color rush top now. There's also a gold jersey, which we've talked about as a potential for an alternate in the past. I don't know. What do you think of these, Smitty?
We're talking about the entire ensemble here, or just
Like these as options as a potential Steelers throwback.
I man, I understand it's one thing to see it as a concept here. I want to see it on a player, specifically the helmets, like specifically those 37 helmets. Be very curious as to what those look
And
like
also,
now.
of course, the mock-ups here, which, by the way, are from Gridiron Uniform Database,
Yeah.
don't have face masks on them because
Yeah.
those are leather helmets in 1937, and they don't have shells
Mhm.
or face masks. So, like, they're not going to
Mhm.
look the same, obviously.
Yeah. So it's my big thing is it's just kind of hard to visualize what the helmets are going to actually look on, like on a player. I think 37 are the most unique, which is why I'd probably go with wanting to see those. I've never been a fan of the shade of pants that we're seeing on those 1935 ones. Those are similar to the ones that they would have had with the Bumblebees to me.
Yeah.
And I know that those are like a very like Steelers lore uniform where it's kind of a hot button topic. You either love them or you hate them, those Bumblebee uniforms. My take on it is honestly like I could do or not do the jerseys. The pants are really what kill me about the uniform. Like I think that those are terrible. So
yeah, I dislike the khaki colored pants. When they wore them, they wore the 33 throwbacks in 1994. Those uniforms are a mess, but the pants are bad as well. The Bumblebee uniforms, I think, look good, the jersey, but I don't like the pants. And so, I don't know. I kind of am interested in the gold helmet with the black wing and the gold jersey, but I think I would prefer it with black pants to the khaki. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how much we're going to sacrifice historical accuracy for aesthetics.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, to get a combination that in my opinion looks good, I think they would have to, but I don't know that that's I don't know if that's in the cards. If the point is to bring exactly what they had back then and just bring it back now, a modernized version, then yeah, I don't love the option of the gold with the khaki there.
Yeah, I don't either. And there are other options here, but they're all just, like I said, like very boring helmets. Those are the only ones they've worn that are at all unique or different in any way from like exactly what they've worn before or just a plain helmet.
Yeah. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see. When is it? July? I think that they said they were gonna.
I don't know if they
unveil
said
them or
they're going to
whatever.
announce it,
Oh,
but that's usually when they've done it. Is
okay,
in like late June, early July, something like that, in between minicamp and training camp.
gotcha. Okay, well, I had heard July. I hope that I'm not, breaking anything there by saying that. But
I'm pretty sure that's when they've done it in the past. So.
okay, all right, good.
Is there another outside of this? Is there another throwback look that you wanted to see?
I definitely like a modernized version of what do they call it? Like the Batman uniforms. I think would be interesting. I know a lot of people have thrown that around, and like some people even like sent me mock-ups of what it could look like. That would be interesting to me.
Yeah, but the thing about those are they wear the same helmet.
Yeah,
that they wear now. So like, I don't think that's what's going to happen. But like, we can bring up some of these here. Like I think that's a solid look there. Because I have my mute button across it for some reason. But yeah, like I think that's a solid look. But again, that's the same helmet.
Yeah. So I mean, that's eliminating quite a few options, right? If it's going to be something that's new on both ends, or
and
not new,
he
but
did specifically say the new helmet is going with the throwbacks, because if the new helmet was going with the alternates, then the possibilities are limitless. Like it could be anything. But it doesn't seem like that's the case.
Yeah, and also something I wanted to ask you about, because I had thought that, and we might have had this conversation last year. I thought that I had heard that their color rush were being retired, but it mentioned they were to wear them week 15 against the Dolphins. So
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. You didn't hear anything like that going back?
I had heard that they were getting a new uniform for this year, but I wasn't sure which. So that could be one of those things that like it kind of gets conflated too, where like, somebody says this, but it's actually that and all that.
Well, just going along with the parallels to the 2019 season, like we were with the schedule yesterday, if they wear those Monday night against the Dolphins, like AR2 said, they wore those in 2019 in a Monday night game against the Dolphins much earlier in the season than week 15, but they wore those as well. One thing that he might have touched on this within there, but obviously the fan base, massive issue. We talked yesterday about not fully knowing where the league was at with this, but it is a week 5 bye for the Steelers the week after going to Ireland. We touched on when we thought it was going to be, we said we thought it'd be week 5 or week 6. It ends up being week 5. And when I put that out there, I got more engagement on that than putting the actual schedule out. Like people were very upset about the Steelers having a week 5 bye.
Yeah, so I got some clarification from the league. The bye is not automatic after Europe, and they are no longer giving teams before. If you asked for it after you went to Europe, you got it. But now that's not the case. It just so happened that the league gave the Steelers the bye. The Steelers already said they didn't ask for it. So just sort of happened that way. I think it's a good place for a bye. I think, and we should talk a little bit as well about their schedule for Ireland, which Art laid out. But like that is a time where jet lag is real, and in that instance, it is much more real coming back than it is going. Certainly, the adjustment going is difficult. The adjustment coming back is, I think, much more significant. And so we'll see. We'll see.
I don't know if Pat's adjusted back yet, and he's been home for like a month. So no, I'm just joking, by the way.
Yeah,
but seriously,
the thing about the East is, it's like a lot of people say East is harder, and I understand why they do. But like when you're talking about it's the length of time, like you're there, like where you actually do have to adjust coming back, unlike normally where you just ignore it, like we talked about. So I don't know. I think that's a good place for them to have it. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing to have after the Ireland game. I guess because of that, I just wish the Ireland game was a little bit later in the season, and then the bye week following that, because I think it's like you have that bye week 5, and then you have all those games afterwards, another early bye, and we've seen. I'm not making that as the excuse for why we've seen play deteriorate down the stretch here, but I certainly don't think it helps. I think we know how the players feel about the early buys. So say they were playing in Ireland like week 7, week 8, or something like that, and then had to buy the following week. Much more optimal in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I think the early buy is it's.
You just want to go fishing. We heard that
If
on the
you
morning.
have I think if you have an older team, it probably matters more. The Steelers are a little bit older on defense, but they're pretty young on offense. So,
for now, their quarterback's going to be 42, though. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. The other thing that I think is, if you talk about that, is that you get the mini bye when you play on Thursday night, but that's only 2 weeks after.
Yeah,
it would be a little bit more helpful, I think, if that Thursday night game was kind of in the middle of their week 11 or something like that. I think that would be better.
You mentioned like what the plan was for Ireland. Could you expand on, because I actually don't even fully know what you were alluding to there.
Yeah, so Art said in his interview with Missy that they're going to follow the same pattern that they did last year, last time they went to London in 2013, which was leave Thursday night.
Oh, okay.
Get there Friday morning, practice there Friday, walk through their Saturday, game there Sunday, which means that the first 2 practices of the week are in Pittsburgh. I don't know what the Vikings are going to do, and I don't know what every other team has been doing. I need to do a little bit more research about this before I really write about it. But I know that Cam Hayward and Ben Roethlisberger, both in the aftermath of the 2013 game, said they wish they had gone over earlier. Oh, and I actually feel like, from what I have read, that most teams either choose to go over earlier or later, and that they're kind of right in the middle of where other teams have, like, some teams will go over and spend the whole week there and practice every day there, and other teams are kind of almost treating it like a regular road game and just flying in for the game. So I'm kind of interested to see what whether they stick to that idea or if they're going to be open to make some changes. Art did say, like, we're going to have to see what other teams are doing. I don't think a lot of other teams are doing that.
So what's just based off, I don't know if you have this information, but I'm just curious. Like, obviously we know the field where the game is played. Are there, like, where does practices take place and stuff like that over there? And like, how does that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think all those details have been published yet.
Okay.
But they'll probably practice, like, one team. I think the Steelers will practice at Croke Park probably. And then the visitors will practice somewhere else. They build like temporary locker rooms because these stadiums are built for Gaelic football in this instance, although they have college football there. So maybe they do have big enough locker rooms. But I know a lot of times they have temporary locker rooms just because football stadium, like, soccer has 25 guys on the roster, not 53 with pads, and it's not built for that. So
true.
Yeah, the logistics of it are difficult, and I actually have a story that has not yet been published but will be shortly at the site about how I feel like part of, like, I think the Patriots game is a real trap game because a lot of the teams, like, support staff is going to be starting to prepare for Ireland already that week. The Patriots stink. I don't know. That just feels like a week where you're distracted by what's coming up. That's a bad opponent. You don't give them your full thought process. Like, I don't know.
It's happened before with that same opponent. So yeah, I mean, good point there for sure. We'll see. I'm interested to see how just like the whole thing, the whole experience goes for everybody, fans, media, players alike, and what ends up coming from that. I know people are disappointed every single time that you mention that you don't think it's in the cards. I was going through the comments here, figuring out what to bring up on the show, and I just see more and more comments of people that are like, "Hey, we need to start a GoFundMe and stuff like that." So people are pretty disappointed, but hey,
well, if the team goes later in the week, that makes it even more of a no-brainer to not go because you're not going to be missing anything.
Hey, well, obviously this is not related to Ireland or anything like that, but while I can work this in, we're giving shout outs to other countries. Interesting, Nick Schlegel put in here that he doesn't really care about the schedule release because he's living in Australia. And I just thought it was cool. It's like, I think that's the first time that I've seen somebody mention Australia representation watching or listening to this show. So we've had several other countries, several other people mention what country they're watching or listening from. And I want to give Nick a shout out for watching the pod from Australia.
That's awesome, man. I am always blown away by how I actually just got a DM on Twitter the other day asking about Sebastian Castro, and it was from a fan in Mexico. The DM was in Spanish, so had to flex my very poor Spanish abilities to communicate that yes, the Steelers have signed Sebastian Castro and he has a chance to make the team. But it's cool, man. It's super humbling to cover a team that so many people from all over the world care about.
Yeah, we have somebody that watches this podcast as well as my other podcast. It's from South Wales. Like it's awesome. Anytime that somebody reaches out to me and they're like, "Hey, this is where I'm watching or listening to the podcast from," and I'm just like he said, I think blown away is probably the best usage of words there to describe the way that is. Speaking of DMs, though, again, appreciate that. Speaking of DMs, I got one from Alex here that I thought was pertinent to bring up. I know that this was a little bit of a conversation. People keep bringing this up, how much more expensive it is going to games and stuff like that. But even, being able to watch and have access to all the games. Alex says, I was curious about a couple things here. How do these TV deals and streaming service deals work with the NFL? And do you see the trend changing or increasing? And do you think this is a good or bad thing for the NFL and a good or bad thing for the fans of the league? It seems like it's getting harder and harder to watch the games. And then he put legally watch every game, especially if you're not living in Pittsburgh. What's your take?
Ooh, so there's a lot there. I mean, like, how does this work with streamers? Is that sort of so the NFL has media rights contracts, and the base media rights contracts are to Fox and CBS, which broadcast the 1:00 windows every Sunday during the regular season, and they alternate 4 p.m. windows week to week with a couple of designated doubleheader weekends where they each have a 4 p.m. window. And then if there's a West Coast game that happens at 4 p.m., then those affiliates don't get to show a 1:00 game. So that's and those contracts are negotiated on like a long-term basis with the league. And then there are carve-outs for everything that is not a Sunday afternoon game. So there's a separate contract with NBC for Sunday Night Football. There's a separate contract with Disney for Monday Night Football. There's a separate contract with Amazon for Thursday Night Football. And then beyond those packages, as the league has added these sort of extra pieces to the schedule, there is now a separate contract with Netflix for the 2 early games on Christmas. Amazon bid for the Black Friday afternoon game for the second year in a row. YouTube just won a bid for the Friday night after the season opener game in Brazil. That'll be on YouTube this year. So all these streamers can bid on all these games that are not part of that basic package. So if the NFL wants to shoehorn more games in on different days of the week and in different time slots, all of the Europe games on 9:30 a.m. are on NFL Network. Right now, they have not sold those to anybody, but I have a feeling they will at some point, that it's going to be Sunday morning football on, I don't know, whatever. And that will be its own package of games. And so, and then also one of the wild card games is up for individual bid every year. The rest of them are all spoken for as part of those packages. CBS gets some, Fox gets some, Disney gets some, Amazon, et cetera, et cetera. But like 2 years ago, one was on Peacock, where they bid it and whatever. So I don't remember where it went last year. Paramount Plus, maybe? I don't remember who bid
which one?
For that streaming wildcard game, or maybe it was Amazon. Did Amazon get it last year?
Yeah,
I don't remember. Somebody streamed a wildcard game last year. So that's the way the media rights work. So yeah, you're gonna, as the NFL continues to play more games in different time zones and continues to find more places in the schedule where they can fit standalone games. You're gonna have to subscribe to more and more streaming services to see every game. Now, I think the NFL will always have the rule in place where every game has to be broadcast over the air in the local market. And that is still true. If the game is on Amazon, it has to be broadcast by one of the local TV stations. Channel 11's been doing that for the last couple of years. It just depends. Those sometimes they have, like, if it's YouTube, for example, maybe they have a partnership with a particular station already or a particular network. For a long time, when the game was on ESPN, it would always be on Channel 4 because it's an ABC affiliate and Disney owns ABC. So it just depends. But yeah, as of right now, every game will always be free on local TV. But I don't think that will change. But if you're out of town, good luck, because that number of things you're going to have to subscribe to legally watch every game is going to keep growing.
Yeah, so he even sent me a graphic here that has like Sunday Ticket $522, YouTube TV's $563, Peacock is $14 a month, Netflix is up to $23 a month now, Amazon Prime $89, ESPN Plus $105, and obviously the taxes and fees tacked onto that. You could be looking at like $1,500 plus if you have to subscribe to each of those individually. Now, I will say, as somebody that has some of these streaming services, like, I don't even have to pay for some of them because there's obviously bundles that take place. I have like ESPN Plus for free because I have Hulu live TV. So like there's certain things I think that and I have Peacock through my internet provider. So like some of these, obviously you're not having to pay for individually depending on the circumstance, but if you have to, yeah, that's a massive amount, and it just keeps growing and growing for the consumer. I don't know part of what he said here too, I guess if I keep going on, and maybe this is something that we can discuss, or you could give a further thought to, do you think that there's a possibility that at some point there could be like an alternative package created, like a team thing where you pay X amount and you get access to like all Pittsburgh Steelers games regardless, or no, because they're getting these bids from all these networks and that would take away the ability to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's that's what those networks are paying for. Now, can there be some bundling? Yeah, I actually think that not so much an NFL led thing, but like what's going to happen is all of these different subscription services are going to find out that really, like, people want to watch a bunch of different stuff, and that they're going to end up combining, and we're going to end up sort of back to where we were before, where you pay one price or two prices or three or whatever, and you end up with a large collection of stuff from different networks. I just think like the idea of like cutting the cord to get rid of the cable bundle was interesting. I don't think it was interesting for consumers. I don't think it's a very good business model for media companies. And I think they're learning that and are going to try to, obviously, we're not going to en masse go back to plugging into, wired cable. But I think the idea of like big bundles being much more profitable than everything busted up into little pieces is going to come back around.
I think there's a lot of variables that, go into a decline in people wanting to attend games as opposed to going to them and staying at home and watching them on TV. But so I'm not necessarily asking about that, because if people don't want to go to games, if they don't like dealing with people, if they don't want to deal with the environments, don't like to drive, whatever, don't want to deal with the traffic, so be it. But I'm wondering if we're going to get to a point here where you kind of see this shift where all of a sudden it actually becomes cheaper to attend football games than having to pay for them.
I talked about that on Morning Rush yesterday, I think. Yeah, I do. I think
that's why I said it. Actually,
I think I think you're going to see the cost of in-person attendance relatively drop. And what I mean by that is I don't expect the price to go down, but like as the world gets more expensive, I think that's going to get more expensive at a slower rate compared to the price of television viewership. I think that will get more expensive because that is where the demand is.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm curious to see what happens.
Right? Like, if you're a season ticket holder, don't be sitting there thinking like, "Oh, my prices are going to go down." They're not going to go down, but I think they will increase more slowly than the television price to view will increase.
I'm pretty transparent Like I try to be. Like I just put out today just for people to know like what the face value was of what I pay for tickets, just so they can kind of see like, hey, if you're paying this on the resale market or whatever, you're probably like paying double the price of what the face value is or whatever. I can just tell you. So 2019, the first year that I had my tickets, they were $2,300. This year, first time going over 3,000 for the 2 seats. So just to show you within 2019 to 2025 where we've been at.
Yeah, I want now. So 2000. So, but also like 2019 to 2025, the to watch every game on TV price has gone way up.
Yeah, I'm curious about what those. Yeah,
especially if you're an out of town fan. If you're in market, it's still free basically. But yeah, for an out of town fan, it's definitely gotten a lot more expensive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why the NFL wants all these international fans.
Yeah. Actually, I want to bring that up. Maybe tomorrow would be a good time to have a topic, kind of an extension of the international conversation that we've been having. But I'll save it for tomorrow. It'd be a good conversation. Right. But other than that, Alan, until we head on over to the SN Plus subscribers live stream, tell the people they can find you.
Saunders _PGH on X, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. PGH Steelers Now sites account SteelersNow.com. Sign up for SN Plus so you get included in our monthly subs holding live streams, and also get an ad-free experience at SteelersNow.com. And then you can subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications here on the YouTube channel. That's totally free. Helps us grow this channel, which helps us a ton. And we get to play games with the number of subscribers we have, which are awesome. I feel like we had a good one yesterday, and today's is interesting. 15,700, and current scout and former quarterback Chidi Iwoma, 29.
All right. I get 2 that I feel pretty good about here. Which one do I want to use now, and which one do I want to use when it inevitably comes back around? I will go with...
we generally don't go with the current wearers, but Ben Sauls is a very interesting 29.
Oh, yeah, that's always my fallback. If I can't think of one, I just say the current guy. But I'm going to go with Ryan Mundy, number 29.
There you go.
And I got another one in my back pocket for when we get 29 next time. So as Alan said, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, hit us in the comments with your thoughts on anything that we talked about today, question for a future episode, your favorite number 29. Let us know in the comments as well. If you're listening somewhere else, Apple, Spotify, wherever your podcast from, be sure to leave a 5-star review over there. Subscribe over there. Just search Steelers Afternoon Drive. Do the same thing on TikTok, and then you'll find me everywhere. Zachary Smith, PGH, for Alan Saunders and myself. Thanks for jumping in. Take another ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive.